I've said, what happened? He's like, I can't tell you, I can't tell you. I said, listen, Josh, I love you. You got to tell me what happened. I love you with my heart, with my soul, with every fiber of my entire being. How are you feeling right now, beautiful soul? So I want to share with you a story today. And I want to dive into the discussion and topic about reality and how reality can be overlaid and how we live in this hologram and it can be constructed and reconstructed to make a certain human being see something, think something, behave in a certain way. Sometimes it can be a positive thing, sometimes it can be a more negative thing. But ultimately, in every single situation, we get the opportunity to grow as humans. Now, this little event happened about 2 years ago. And it's quite interesting and fascinating. And for some people, they will think it sounds completely and utterly bonkers, but I'm going to share it with you. And anyway, I don't expect you to believe a certain word that comes out of my mouth, a single word that comes out of my mouth. Go into your heart and feel this. Some of you listening to this may have had experiences like this yourself, so it could, it'll be completely normal in your kind of worldly experience. When the COVID started a couple of years back, and this has got nothing to do with that, but this is when it was, a couple of years back, we were doing some powerful online meditations and grid work to help with some of the children in some of these underground bases. And we were bringing a lot of people together online, taking souls to quantum hospitals in the field, spaceships, different things, and really helping a lot of souls that have been through some deep, deep trauma. And a lot of strange things started happening in our house and with my family, children, etc., which we've been through before because we've done a lot of good work. And quite often when you're out there doing certain things, there are higher and lower vibrational forces within this kind of, reality field. Even though we help co-create some of them, they are there, and sometimes they can play out havoc and chaos in our fields and do certain things. And what happened one day is I was in the kitchen and my son came home and he was quite anxious and a little bit petrified, and he was like, Dad, there's a goblin at the end of the drive. And I'm like, what? He said, there's a goblin at the end of the drive. I'm like, okay, so I'm out there having a look around, I can't see the goblin. So I've come back in and I've said, listen, Josh, what happened, buddy? And he's like, well, I was riding my bike home and I saw what looked like two foxes running down, coming down the pavement. And they kind of morphed into goblins. And then Josh stopped his bike and he thought that he was having some kind of communication with the goblins from where he was. And so anyway, he kind of rode on and got a little bit down the road, stopped, looked at them, and they were kind of just there looking at him. And he could hear them talking like this kind of weird language, even from 30, 40, 50 meters down the road. Anyway, he carried on with his bike, went home, came in, and the goblin had followed him to the end of the drive by that point, and that's when he kind of came running in, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, he's told me this story. Now, he told me that these foxes that shape-shifted into goblins were kind of looking at him, but didn't come anywhere near him, okay? And this is what he truly thought. It wasn't actually the case, and we'll come on to that afterwards. But this happened, okay? Now, we're continuing with our meditations, blah, blah, blah. 3 or 4 nights later, Josh says to him, I'm going out for a bike ride. And it was 9 o'clock at night. It was February time. It was still really dark, getting dark pretty early. I said, you sure you want to go out this late? I said, anyway, listen, just give us a call if you need anything. So he's gone out. I don't know how long has gone past, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it was. phone rings. Hello, it's Josh. Dad, there's a goblin chasing me down the road. It's got no legs, it's in a black jacket, and it's kind of hovering, you know, like over the concrete. And Josh is like tearing on his bike. I said, stay on the phone, just get home. Where are you? He told me where he was. I went out of the house and I'm sprinting up the road because he was only probably 800 meters from the house. So I'm sprinting up the road, he's on the phone, and he's like, Dad, the goblin has just shapeshifted into this big fat fox, and now the fox is chasing me. And so anyway, by the time he gets around the corner, the fox just vanishes into the ether, gone. So by that time, me and Josh meet each other in the street. So he's explaining to me the whole story again, I'm asking him questions, blah, blah, blah. 3 or 4 days later, I'm in my office and my daughter comes downstairs and she says, Dad, you need to come and help Josh. He's upstairs in the bedroom and he's like crying. She said something dark has happened, blah, blah, blah. So I've gone upstairs, I've gone into the bedroom. Josh is on the bed, he's in a lot of pain, his back, like up and down his spine. And I tune in and I see this being inside of him, like spread through his back. Like, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It was like a dragon, moth, like with kind of like scaly kind of structure. I said, what happened? He's like, I can't tell you. I said, listen, Josh, I love you. You got to tell me what happened. So after a couple of minutes, he's like, right, I went out earlier in the daytime and he was sat with his bike, sat there on his own on a park bench in the park. And he said a little bird landed next to him on the bench. And Josh picked up the bird and Josh heard a voice in his head saying, you know, break the bird's neck. And so Josh, he broke the bird's neck in his hand. Now, he didn't really break a bird's neck, but in Josh's mind, he truly believed he broke the bird's neck. Now, he broke the bird's neck, and then Josh is like feeling terrible because he's broke the bird's neck, okay? And part of him doesn't even know why he did it. Then he's heard a voice in his head saying, I can help you, you know, just let me in. So Josh is kind of relaxed and this being's come down through Josh's body, into his body. The bird's just dissolved in Josh's hand because there really was no bird, it was a holographic imprint. So what has happened is something has overlaid reality into the field, you know, played with Josh's consciousness and made him feel guilty, and that was the opportunity for the being to slide in. So I come into the bedroom and I can see this being inside of him. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I exercise Josh and I take this being out. I send it back to wherever it needs to go to, clean him up, boom, he's back to normal, okay? Now, when he came back to normal, he started to remember what had happened when he first met the goblins, which had pretended to shapeshift as foxes in the street. Because what happened when they first connected with him, they altered his consciousness, and Josh thought they were stood on the pavement, he was in the middle of the road. What had happened is they'd come up to him, they touched his finger, and when they touched his finger, they changed the reality field, and he thought that they didn't touch him. But then they you know, got into his consciousness, implanted, and started this kind of chain reaction over the next few days where they've kind of like manipulated him and railroaded him to get to the point where his vibration had dipped, he wasn't in tune, he wasn't aware, and he'd allowed this holographic insert to come into his reality, and he broke the bird's neck. And so all this was like a ploy to manipulate his mind, his reality, etc., so they could get into a point where they could infiltrate him and this being could come inside of him. Now, luckily we know what we're doing, so we took the being out and blah, blah, blah. And yes, beautiful soul, this whole experience with Josh and my son, neither of us were on plant medicine. Neither of us were taking psilocybin at the time. We were completely straight, okay? And this goes to show that reality can be manipulated. At the same time, Something else to mention is reality fields can bleed. So these goblins, they may have come through from another reality. I feel they did, but the little bird on the bench, that was a holographic insert. This is the potential that all humans, all beings have on Earth with reality. You can shift it, change it, do all sorts of different things to it. What we do with star magic is do positive things. There are some people out there doing not so positive things. You are amazing though, and you know what's best for you, your brothers and sisters, and our cosmic mother herself. It's important for every single human being to know what we're faced with. And everything is also a choice, because you don't have to engage with what you're presented with in this world. Whether it's real or it's not real, it doesn't matter. And in every situation, we don't have to make a choice immediately. We can kind of take a step back and think, okay, breathe, center, 0 point ourselves. And when we come into our heart space, we actually create more space between us and what's actually happening. And then we get to see the ripples in the fabric, the truth, the distortion, the disinformation, or the reality and the truth and the wisdom in every situation. But when you're inside your head and you're in a kind of a low vibrational state, there's a 0.25 second window between stimulus and response. And quite often we either react negatively, destructively, or we make rash decisions from an unbalanced standpoint. And that's what Josh did, because Josh is pretty versed in this stuff, even though, you know, he's still in his sort of mid-teens. You know, he's been into this stuff for a long time because of what we do with star magic. But still, we all get caught out and duped now and again. And it's really important that every single one of us maintain our frequency. And that involves meditation, qigong, breath work, cold showers, exercise, all of that stuff. Getting out into nature with your shoes and socks off, diving into the ocean, just doing all the things that keep you in a good space. High vibrational nutrition, urine therapy, whatever it is. All of these things should be a part of your superhuman lifestyle, okay? And for those of you that don't know, my new book, Be Superhuman, Activate Your Superhuman Potential, is coming out. The Ultimate 5D Toolkit in November this year, so stay tuned for that. Pre-orders are on Amazon right now. But anyway, that to the side, we must stay in our hearts and realize that reality is not always what we perceive it to be. And also, some people can view and perceive the same reality field from a completely different perspective. And that doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean that you're right. It doesn't mean you're wrong and they're right. What it means is that we've just got different perspectives of the same situation. And it's okay to have multiple perspectives. And as a highly advanced human being, as a highly conscious being, you should always frame reality from different perspectives anyway. If someone views reality from one standpoint, put yourself in their shoes. View that reality field from their shoes before you have a conversation. So you know what it's like to be in their shoes and what it's like to be in your shoes. Maybe you want to put yourself over here into a third-party perspective, observing both realities from both parties and being an observer with no real say in the situation. How does it look from that standpoint? Go above, down below, out to the left. Look at it from all perspectives. That's what a true Jedi does. That's what a true master does. Reality can be manipulated, and everything is holographic. We're living in a hologram, beautiful soul. And as a quantum architect, living in this hologram, you can recreate, dissolve, create reality in many different ways, shapes, or forms. We're architects, wizards, witches. We have so much power and potential inside of us. You are amazing, truly phenomenal. So remember, reality isn't always what it seems. And you as a powerful being get to choose how you perceive that reality. okay? Go out into this world, love your sisters and your brothers, hug them tightly, and never be the first to let go. Love them fiercely and ferociously, because that fierce and ferocious love is what we need right now to burn through the BS, because there's loads of it around. And love crushes and transmutes everything. It is our greatest weapon. Pull out your diamond sword and stand firm, beautiful soul. And I will see you again real soon. Remember to check out our website, starmagichealing.com. We have some of the best ascension tools on the planet. And if you click the link underneath this video, then you can get access to our free 7-day meditation challenge right now. I'll see you soon, beautiful soul. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out. How would you like to wake up every single day with joy as your natural default state? Bouncing around this planet, loving every second. It's easy when you follow a certain set of protocols. It's time for you to step into your power. You're a lion, you're a lioness, a god, a goddess. Right now you can access our free 7-day meditation challenge. You will activate courage, confidence, connect to source, and feel love in your heart always. You will generate a wave of enthusiasm that will flow from your heart always as you merge the divine masculine and the divine feminine frequencies into wholeness, into the 0 point. Click the link, access these short, powerful, and potent meditations, and kickstart a new way of operating in this human reality. You are amazing, beautiful soul. Amazing, extraordinary, phenomenal, and you have so much magic, knowledge, and wisdom locked inside of you. And these meditations, this short meditation challenge, will bring all of that to the surface so you can activate your superhuman potential. Click the link and I will see you on the inside. I want you to thrive, to shine your light and express your divinity, to speak your truth always, to live your truth, to stand in your power, and make up your own rules of this human game. Go out into this world, love your sisters and your brothers fiercely and ferociously. Hug them tightly and never, ever be the first to let go. That's the golden rule of hugging. I will see you on the inside. Click the link now. Let's do this. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out, beautiful soul.